Hello, everybody. I'm back as promised. We're going to have a look at Madeline Soto's case. I did a little video last night and I said I would do the whole reading today. And it's taken me a little while because I will have these on the screen, but I printed out all the charts for, okay, what I did was I got a really, really good timeline of events, and I believe this was actually from, where was it from? I think it was released by the police. I'm not 100% sure, but it's got some really, like, all that highlighted stuff, very specific times of everything that happened, and another page there. But this is how many charts we're going to go through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I've got another 2 on my computer as well, so we're going to be looking at 10 charts. But don't worry, it's not going to be really confusing because pretty much everything in all these charts from the time that Madeline was last seen at her party the day before through to when that monster, I'm not going to say his name, he's disgusting, he's a monster, he's a sicko, but yeah, it goes all the way through to when he was seen going westbound, seen going southbound, picked up on CCTV, all those other things. And then we've also got, which I didn't actually realise, but Jen Soto's car was also out and about in the middle of the night on the day after the 27th. So we've got 2 charts for that as well, because why was her car out? Is she that complacent that she doesn't realise that he's taken her car? No. The stories that I keep hearing of, oh, she needs to take her tablets and go to sleep. Blah, blah, blah. Go to sleep. Everybody's got to go to sleep, What a bullshit excuse. As if they're going to sleep that night. With all the charts that I've got, with all the information that we know from the police and from everywhere else, there's just absolutely no way in hell that Jen Soto was popping pills and going to sleep at just after 11 o'clock after saying that that monster can go up into Madeline's room. I mean, let's be realistic. I think we all want to give some people the benefit of the doubt that, that they don't know what's going on. They didn't know what's going on. For me, it didn't even occur to me. She knew what was going on. And then now I've seen her interview. It's ridiculous. She's so nonchalant. She just doesn't care. I mean, he's just an absolute psycho monster. Of course he doesn't care. He's a psychopath. I think she's one as well. I think a lot of people have been, have said, maybe she just didn't know, and things like that don't happen. in your own house all the time, and he's got all those disgusting photos and images of pedophilia and assault on Madeline. You know, how did she not know? So we're going to go through all of these charts. I look a little bit tired. I stayed up really late last night looking into all of this. And, so excuse the squidgy eyes. But, we're going to go through everything. And I really feel as though I have an idea of when she actually passed away. And I think that will come out eventually. The way that I can see that sort of thing is by looking at each one of the charts that are actually timed perfectly, and then going between a little bit back. I always look at the moon and the position of the moon. It's the fastest moving object, and the moon is the co-ruler of the victim, and the moon just shows us a whole lot. So when I see the moon in a particular position in relation to other things, then just it clicks. And also last night, Smudge, the magic dog, gave us a bark around the time that I think possibly something had happened. But I'm a little, I don't know, I'll get into it, but I'm a little confused about why I think and why it looks like about 3:30 in the morning, 3:30 to 4 o'clock in the morning, because there's another chart that I've pulled up that looks actually like she was murdered just before she was put into the car. So we'll have a look at those and we'll see what we think. So we will do that. But first, I'll talk a little bit about what I'm going to be doing after this. I'm going to look at Sebastian. It takes a little while for me these days, unfortunately. But I'll be looking at Sebastian after this chart, after these charts, and I think this video will probably just look at the charts, and then I might have to do another video on the map. The map, as I said last night, it's not so important because we know she was found. So the map really is just an indicator of that the charts are working and showing us exactly where she was found. So I will do another video on that. So many lovely people have said so many beautiful things on YouTube in my comments, and it makes me feel really, really, really good. I'm so glad to be back. I'm glad that everybody wants me to be back, and I am going to set up a live. I might even do it late tonight here in Australia, which will probably be early morning. So, or maybe I'll do it tomorrow, Saturday night, and then the Americans can wake up in the morning and watch it or stay awake or whatever. So I will be doing a live, and and I just really appreciate everybody's niceness to me, and it really means a lot to me. So many people said that, thank God I'm back and I'm the best astrologer. That doesn't sit well with me, but it feels nice, so thank you so much. All right, let's get this mug out of here, and we'll start looking at some charts, but I'll pop back up and have a chat too. Okay, so this is the very first chart, 11 p.m. on the 25th of February, after Madeline had her birthday party. So basically what I'm going to be looking at in most of these charts is the moon, the ascendant, the descendant, and the rulers of the ascendant and the descendant. And you'll know why once I get through them. But okay, let's start with this one here. So apparently at 11 o'clock the party was over, she was gone home. So the rulers that we need to look at are the ascendant, as always, and I do that every single time. And the ascendant is Scorpio, so that rules Madeline. Now, the ruler of Scorpio is Mars, down here, conjunct the 4th house cusp, but in the 3rd house. Then we have on the DC, because that's just automatically where I want to look, we have Taurus, and Taurus, the ruler of Taurus is Venus. So just looking at those two areas, we do need to look at the moon as well. It's at 24 degrees of Virgo, in the 11th house of groups of people. So it sort of shows that, you know, they've been with a group of people. I'm not 100% sure what time they left the party, but I know 11 o'clock is an important time. So when we have Mars and Venus as the ascendant and the descendant, we have a male and a female. Okay, so on the descendant here is the female, Venus, which is also conjunct here at 11 degrees, exactly conjunct the 4th house cusp, or the end of the matter. So not only are they both flanking either side of the end of the matter, or the womb and the tomb, they're also conjunct. Mars is at 9 degrees, Venus is at 11 degrees. So we've got a fairly tight conjunction between this Mars and Venus. So when you're looking at Mars and Venus, you're looking at a male and a female. Obviously, we're looking at Madeline here and a female here. Now, Madeline obviously isn't a male, but as we progress, you'll see more. So just keep in your mind that these two are together around that 4th house cusp there. So to me, at 11 o'clock, it actually seems that something was already starting to happen. I don't know whether there was any type of argument at the party, or something happened between Jennifer Soto and the monster, or whether something happened between Madeline and her mum, Jennifer. So something that I can see here, you know, we have to look at aspects. And when I look at Mars, which is the ruler of Madeline, obviously, I see it's at 9 degrees here. I'll zoom in a little bit. Then we have a really tight square to Jupiter in the 7th house. The 7th house of perpetrators. So something big happened at around about 11 o'clock. Jupiter is, you know, excessiveness and all things just bigger than Ben-Hur. So my feeling on this matter is that Jennifer actually had, I said this before, but actually had a run-in or some type of situation with Madeline, which I know may not be a popular opinion because obviously the monster stepfather we know has done a whole lot of stuff. So, but you know, as when we look at astrology, we can't change it. It's not changeable. It's the time and the place, and so you know, there's nothing I can do to change that around to make it look like him. But as we go further, we're going to see more and more things and position swapping and basically the same signs and the same planets doing the same thing. So this is just the first one. My intuition, my reading of the chart indicates to me that there was something going on between Madeline and her mother. And being in the third house here, even though it's conjunct the fourth house, being in the third house, I feel that that was possibly an argument or some... Sorry about all the cars and stuff. Possibly an argument or some words or something was said. So when we're looking at something going to the seventh house is partners in general. I mean, this is a female, obviously, but the seventh house represents partners. So I have to wonder whether Jen Soto actually had an issue with something that monstrous man was saying, doing, acting like, or whatever with Madeline, and Jen Soto didn't like it. This is such a sad case, and there's so many charts, it's actually difficult to read, but you know, let's just move on. You're going to see bunches of planets all the way through this because, you know, it's over a period of 24 hours, a little bit longer. So the planets aren't going to move that much except for the moon and except for the house cusps around. So, you know, what are the chances that the house cusps are going to be the same or opposite in all of these charts? Let's have a look. Okay, so this chart was when monstrous stepfather said that he dropped off Madeline, which, as I put in my video last night, is absolutely a load of crap because Jen Soto immediately said that they both took her to school and then immediately said afterwards that he took her to school. So what I'm seeing here is a complete and utter lie chart, and I'm going to show you why. As you know, I really look for 29 degrees. 29 degrees shows us the end and the beginning of something different. It's a pivotal point, and very, very often it shows us the actual time or, you know, when something went really wrong. So we know now that at 8 o'clock, Madeline was actually deceased. You've heard me talk a lot before about lie times and lie charts, and this is a lie chart. We have Neptune, which is deception, sitting right in that 12th house of secrets and hidden agendas on the ascendant at 29 degrees. So to me, that is, this area here is just a complete and utter lie. When we go across to the moon, have a look at that. The moon is also at 29 degrees. Oops, a daisy. It's also at 29 degrees, sitting exactly on the DC. So if we look at the DC to be the perpetrator, once again, not only have we got the moon, which represents the mother, but we also have Libra in there as well, which is ruled by Venus. And Venus is in this 11th house again and closely conjunct this Mars here. So we need to look at the chart before and the chart after and everything and see where these Venus and Mars go, because they are important. But ultimately, just straight off the bat, we've got 29 degrees on every angle, a 29 degree moon. We've got Neptune sitting on the ascendant in the 12th house of secrets and lies. Well, it's not, well, yeah, lies. So immediately I can see that he has lied, but it's connected to the moon. It's connected to the mother. It's also connected to Madeline, but we know she was deceased by then. So at this point in time, I'm going to overrule the moon being the co-ruler and show that that's actually the mother. So what can we glean from this? It's just utter crap. Whatever story he's given to the police and everybody else at that time, and the police is represented by Saturn as well, that's in the 12th house too. So, you know, it's completely lying to everybody. I don't think that he was lying to Jen Soto. I think it's too coincidental that they're sitting on the AC and the DC, opposing each other. I believe that she knew that that wasn't the case, that he wasn't dropped off, that she wasn't dropped off at 8 o'clock, and she knew that something terrible had happened, being that 29 degrees and all of these other 29 degrees as well. So the ascendant here is actually, the ascendant is Pisces, and, the descendant is Virgo, and the ascendant is Pisces. So there's lies again as well. If we were to take this as being Madeline at 29 degrees of Pisces, that's not great. But Pisces is the ruler of Neptune here, so everything about her and the story about her was hidden. The other ruler of Pisces is Jupiter, and that's at 10 degrees, and that's making that square here to Mars and Venus. And I've lowered the orbs on this, so it's quite tight orbs. So what do we glean from this? You know, Jupiter, the ruler of Madeline, in the 2nd house, making that square to Mars and Venus, which we saw very relevantly in the last chart. Moving on, I'm going to have to go quite quickly, otherwise this video will take about 4 years to upload. So now this is the chart for when the stepfather had dumped Madeline's books and bags and everything in the dumpster at 7:35. Now you're going to start to see real, well, not coincidences, things that are the same. We have, in all of these charts, we've got a couple of things that will swap and change. So you will see that. Now, so at 7:35, we have Pisces again on the ascendant. So You know, we can take that to be Madeline. We could also really take it to be the stepfather, because he's actually putting things in the dumpster. Now, so when we look at the DC, we've got Virgo again. The ruler of Virgo is Mercury. And Mercury in the 12th house there, that's dumping things. The 12th house literally is like dumping things. So being Virgo on the DC and Mercury being the ruler, that always indicates to me two people. So once again, we had Pisces before and we had Virgo before. Virgo, Mercury, two people. Okay. We've also got the Sun there, which is pretty tightly conjunct Mercury. The Sun is a male, around about 40 years of age. And we have Saturn as well, which is also a male. So they're all in the 12th house. And yeah, it's pretty clear to me that Mercury rules school things, books, all the things that they found as well. So that shows me that yes, it was found in the dump. And it also, weirdly, once again, shows me this moon at 29 degrees in the 7th house. You're going to see DNA next to this moon all the time. That's a real funny thing to see. You would expect to see that near the stepfather, but it's consistently near Jen Soto. So now the moon has moved further into the 7th house. It's opposing that Neptune, which is the ruler of the ascendant, along with Jupiter here. And Jupiter at 10 degrees is still aspecting that Mars and Venus. But this opposition here between the moon and Neptune, it's just like, how do I explain that? It is the lie that we were looking at before has now come into the forefront. So you can't sort of go backwards, because we were looking at 8 o'clock before and now this is 7:35. But I do believe that at 7:35 she knew that he was going to make up a lie as well. So I have to go, I'm struggling with this one. I have to go quite quickly because there's so many. But just keep noticing the descendant, the ascendant, these planets here, and that moon and the DNA. And we'll see what we keep coming up with. The end of the matter is Gemini. So the womb and the tomb and what happened at the very end. Gemini, as I always say, is ruled by Mercury. And Mercury, once again, two people. Two people in this hidden 12th house in Pisces, knows about the lies, and so does Mum. All right. 7:35, let's move on to the next chart. I can go back and forth and we can have a look at it after we've looked at all of them, but let's just have a look at the basics first. Okay, this chart here is 9:42, and it's when monstrous stepfather, I'll read this. 9:42, a video shows a car matching the Lincoln's subscription backing into a space at the top level of the parking garage at the Holiday Inn Vacation Club at John Parkway in Orange County, just north of State Road 528. A male matching his description is seen putting a limp body in the trunk. So this is the chart for when he was seen putting the limp body in the vehicle. Okay, so you might remember the very first chart. This was swapped around. We had Scorpio on the ascendant and Taurus on the descendant. Now it's done a complete 180, and we have Taurus on the ascendant. So in this instance, we're looking at Madeline. So she is Venus, which is the ruler of Taurus. And then the DC, which is a perpetrator, Scorpio. The ruler of Scorpio, Mars. They're 2 degrees apart, and they're in the 10th house of the public and where you can be seen. So it's no surprise that he was seen doing this. He did it out in the open, which is ridiculous, but thank God, because otherwise he may not have been caught. So I get really horrible feelings looking at these charts. Like I feel so sorry for Madeline. She just went through absolute hell. I can see a consistent, it's not a triangle on the chart, but like a consistency of a triangle between him, Madeline, and the mother, and it's just horrible. So, you know, we can't discount that these are together, and Pluto's there as well. It's quite far away, but Pluto, you know, Pluto's a transformation and can represent death as well. And, you know, I think that's important that we see that there. But the thing that I notice with that Pluto, I go straight down here to the moon, and, you know, we always look at the moon. Now, the moon is at 0 degrees. So at 29 degrees, it's like, I hate to say this, but I really, truly hope that she passed away quickly. But there's so much 29 degrees of the moon that when I see it at 0, that's like the end and then the beginning. So she's obviously passed away at this point in the 6th house, you know, of health. Something that I should mention as well is that Taurus represents the throat and Venus represents the throat or strangulation. I know, I haven't read too much about what happened to her, but I know she was strangled, but I can't not see with this Venus and Mars right next door that it wasn't just strangulation. I feel as though there was possibly beating or hitting over the head or something like that. Now, when we go down to the end of the matter, we've got Cancer here, once again, which represents the mother, and then we can go to the moon. So the end of the matter is Jen Soto here. When I look at this chart, I can feel that horrible stepfather's feelings and thoughts that he I get the feeling that Jen Soto was extremely jealous of anything that monster did. And I also get the feeling that he enjoyed making her jealous. But then, because she keeps popping up, around the end of the matter, around the health, I think I just need to say it straight out that I actually believe that Jen Soto was possibly the one that actually instigated a lot of this. I mean, that disgusting man obviously did all of this, but I don't believe her. I don't believe anything she says. I believe that she knew exactly what was going on and that this was probably the outcome that she wanted. She was jealous. She's sick. She's actually sick. I can feel it. I feel sick in my stomach. There's something really, really wrong with her. And I know that the focus is completely on him, this Mars here. But I really feel like we're going to find out soon that she's, we are finding out more and more, with her interview. It was just disgusting that there was a jealousy. There was, she didn't want him to pay attention to her. I think I recall her saying that, she was scared that he was going to fall in love with the daughter and run away with her. I mean, who would think that with a 13-year-old? I don't know. When I look at all of these charts, she's just coming straight into my head all the time. I really feel as though she allowed him to do this and encouraged it in a sick way. She didn't want it to happen. She didn't want him to go and, leave her for Madeline, but she wanted him to do these things to her and sleep in the bed with her and stuff like that. It just makes no sense to me at all. As we can see here again, we've got the moon going opposite Neptune in the 12th house again, which is also bed. So it's, to me it's not unusual in looking at this chart that she asked him to go into bed with Madeline, and I don't understand why with her fears. I think she has mental health issues big time. Anyway, all right, we'll move on to the next ones. We can backtrack, but we'll move on to the next one. The next chart here we have monstrous stepfather's car, which was heading eastbound when he was going to eventually take Madeline where she ended up. So this one's slightly different, but also not really that different. As you can see here, we have 29-29 ascendant, Gemini, 29 descendant in Sagittarius. The moon is at 1 degree, still next to DNA, in the 4th house. So there's Mother in the 4th house, the end of the matter, once again. So now it's starting to get a little bit interesting. We've got the repetitive 29 degrees, but we can't discount this Mars and Venus and Pluto that we've been seeing the whole time. And the moon is making a trine to Pluto in the 8th house of death. And now Mars and Venus are in the 8th house of death as well. Looking at the rulers, which, we always have to do, every time. So we have 29 degrees of Gemini, the ruler of Gemini, once again, is Mercury, sitting right here, 6 degrees, which is right next to the Sun. It's getting closer and closer. So again, we're looking at, we have to look at what's going on here. Like, Madeline's not alive anymore. So I'm going to start to turn it into him driving the vehicle and taking her. So Gemini represents driving and going places in a vehicle. Mars also represents a vehicle. It's something to note. Now, the DC at 29 degrees of Sagittarius, the ruler of Sagittarius is Jupiter. Once again, we've got Jupiter at 10 degrees, making that square to Mars in the 8th house. So if you think of it as him driving along and trying to find somewhere to dump Madeline, then he's trying to go far away, being Sagittarius. He wants to get out of the local area, but being that 29 degree there and there, it's like, you're pretty much getting as far as you can go. He's not going to go too much further. So I don't like seeing this Jupiter here squaring this Mars. It really stands out as being horrible. But because he's in a vehicle, let's have a look at the 3rd house. So the 3rd house cusp is ruled by Leo, and Leo is the Sun. And there is the Sun right next to Mercury here. And in the 9th house, which is distances, so he's trying to distance himself, trying to go further than locally, So he is driving the vehicle. He's trying to go far. If we take this 29 degrees to be Madeline and being Gemini, there's that Mercury right next to where he is travelling. So to me, that shows me that she is absolutely in the vehicle. I mean, we know that, but couldn't be much more clearer, really, to see that here. So she is in the vehicle, but this area here is just really sad to me. This group of planets has been all over the place, but relative to the ascendant and the descendant and everything else, now it is extremely close to this moon in the 4th house, Jen Soto, which is making a very tight aspect to Pluto, but now it's just sitting in the 8th house of death. So to me, they both know that she's deceased, and I'm not 100% sure where Jen Soto was at this time, but I know that she knew where he was going and what he was doing. I just know it. Okay. What should we look at next? The end of the matter. So the end of the matter, the 4th house cusp, is Virgo. Virgo's ruler is Gemini, once again. So the end of the matter shows us that Madeline was in the vehicle, which is the Sun, which is ruled by the 3rd house, which is the vehicle. And again, it all sort of matches up, We've got double signs. Mercury is popping up in all different areas. The Sun, being the ruler of the 3rd house, is him driving the vehicle and him being of the age of the Sun. I'm just looking while I looking around. Let's see. 25. That's interesting here. This cusp here, the 12th house cusp, is 25 degrees of Taurus, so tightly conjunct Algol. So going into the 12th house of secrets and hidden things again. Algol is the head and the neck area, because it's in Taurus, and Taurus is the neck. So I can't even imagine what Madeline would have looked like at this point. It just would have been awful. The fact that he put her in the vehicle and drove around with her is just absolutely despicable. But yeah, that Algol's not great. It's showing secrets, and the secret is that he strangled her. It's not a secret now, but it was at that point, obviously. Okay, so this is 223 when monstrous stepfather was heading westbound to go where he needed to go. So what can we see here? We have Cancer on the ascendant this time, and Capricorn on the descendant. If we look to Cancer, we go down to the moon. The moon is on the 3rd house side of the end of the matter, the 4th house cusp. Jen Soto knew that she was in the vehicle. I have no doubt about it. She knew that Madeline was in the vehicle. The ruler of Capricorn, as we know, is Saturn. Saturn rules the physical body. That is now, Neptune's closer, but again close to the sun, so that's the male. Now Mercury is it's all getting squished into this house now, so he's trying to go further away. It's the 9th house, which is distances. He's trying to go even further. But the other thing that I can see in here, once again, is Venus and Mars in the 8th house of death. Now, you may look at it and go, well, it's in Aquarius, so does that mean that it was an accident? No, it wasn't an accident. I do not believe for a minute it was an accident. I don't know if it was completely premeditated. I think it's hard to say things on YouTube now, but I don't think it was fully premeditated, but I think the things that this disgusting, horrible stepfather was doing to Madeline got out of hand. And it's not an accident, it's anger, Mars, that's turned into something that he couldn't control. So he's an out of control person. He needs to go to jail forever. Now we have Pluto in the 7th house, which is still making that aspect to the moon, conjunct the end of the matter. So again, we've got Jen Soto again sitting there in that 3rd side, conjunct the 4th house cusp. So she knew, I believe, once again, that he was in the car taking Madeline as far away as he could. I mean, we know that she's lied. She lied outright, straight out, that they both took her to school, and then suddenly he took her to school, and then, what happened with the rest of her day, who knows? She walked the dog, she did this, bull crap. She knew exactly what was going on, and she knew that he was going to be taking her in the vehicle to get rid of her, to bury her, to dump her. It's just awful, absolutely awful. Okay, I'm going to keep moving along. By all means, if you've got questions and things that I'm missing out on, please definitely tell me. But we'll move along to the next chart. Okay, so now we're going to the 27th, when Jennifer Soto's car was driven at 3:27 a.m. in the morning. Now, why? Why on earth would her car be driven without her knowing, when he's already been in his car, he's dumped her in his car? What's going on at this point? Why is he taking another car? Without even looking at the chart and knowing crime as I do, and I've been doing it for a very, very long time, to me, that is, he's done the deed in his car, and now he needs to take another car because he doesn't want to get seen when he's at the place. So he's trying to divert, trying to go in a different car so he's not noticed. But when we look at the chart here, it's quite different, except, once again, we have Capricorn, we have Cancer on the DC, AC and DC. Here we have that Venus and Mars, the Venus is moving slightly away from Mars now, but in the first house. So to me, that represents him going in her vehicle to go back to the area where Madeline is. I believe that he went back to the area. And I know this might sound weird, but we're swapping and changing, because the questions and everything that's relevant changes. But if we look at that as being Madeline, the ascendant, the victim, then the first house is the victim as well. So I believe that he has gone in the car. Now, the car is the third house cusp, which is in Pisces. Neptune is sitting in the third house. So he's probably having some scary thoughts, maybe. I don't know. Probably not. He's maybe doubting himself or whatever and has to go back. I really feel as though he has to go back to the scene. The thing that I see the strongest here is this yod. We've got the moon and DNA, which have gotten closer together. DNA is at 7 degrees and the moon is at 8 degrees, forming an aspect to Jupiter in the fourth house of the end of the matter. And then these two here, so that goes to the Sun and also Saturn, and that's that pattern there, the red lines and that blue line there. So this is at 3:27, 3:27 when he's taken her car. So now the moon being her, Jen Soto, is in the 9th house, going the distance. I feel like she's in the vehicle. So there's the moon, and it goes to the Sun. The Sun is the stepfather. Saturn also can represent that type of thing as well, the stepfather, father, older male. And Mercury is there as well, so that's a vehicle or travelling. And then over here, Jupiter in the 4th house of the end of the matter. So I believe that Jen Soto was with stepfather and that end of the matter, 4th house, that's when she was put in the last place that she was put in. She certainly wasn't put to rest, she was dumped. It's disgraceful. It's interesting to me that how clear it is, this aspect here. Now, the moon, which Jen Soto is again at 8 degrees. If we go down here, there's a trine, and that's actually to Mars as well. And Mars is also a vehicle. It's actually the physical vehicle because it was made of metal. So, and that's in the 1st house again. So it's like right in front of them. So at this point, you know, they've gotten close. And I just truly believe that they have actually both put her in the place that she ended up. But as you'll notice through all of these charts, we keep getting Capricorn, Cancer, we've got this area, Gemini pops up a fair bit. Gemini is not really doing a whole lot here, so we won't focus on that one. But yeah, to me at 3:27 a.m, I really think that Jen Soto was in the car. Okay, this is 4:25 when her car was also still out on the road. As we can see, it's just moved slightly over here, but still in the 9th house, the moon and DNA. It's still forming this pattern here. But what we can see is this line here is going down to Jupiter, right on that 4th house cusp, right on the end of the matter. The other line here goes to the Sun and to Saturn. Saturn is the physical body, or Madeline's physical body. The Sun is step monster. And this to me really is the clincher. It shows me that this was the final point in time that she was checked on, possibly thought about being moved. But I feel like with that Jupiter, they thought, okay, it's the end of the matter, it's the final drive, we're not going to do it anymore, and she's just going to stay where she is. Note again, Capricorn, Cancer. We've seen so much Cancer on the 7th house cusp. The 7th house is the perpetrator and Cancer is the mother. And the fact that the moon, which is the ruler of Cancer, is in this predicament, I can't not believe that Jen Soto was actually in the vehicle or knew exactly what was going on. So, yeah, obviously he didn't feel too safe when he was trying to go the distance, when he dumped Madeline in that bush or in that area. And the next night they both felt that they had to go back and check and make sure that she was, possibly, under some brush or hidden a little bit. Should they move her? Some people are going to just say, you can't say that she did this. I can't help it. It's really screaming out to me that she was involved in this. And I believe that she was with him a lot of the time. I don't believe she was asleep. I don't believe she was on drugs. I believe that she takes drugs, probably. Drink, all the rest of it. They're pretty trashy. But I believe that she was with him the majority of the time. And I think she knew that this was going to happen. All right. Now I'm going to pull up a chart where I think that when she was actually murdered. Okay, so this is 3:35 a.m. This is when I actually think between now and about 4:10 something happened. Once again, we can see Capricorn on the ascendant, Cancer on the descendant. This Cancer on the descendant, repetitively showing over and over again, just leads me to the mother all the time. It's constant. It's the moon. It's, I can't see it being Madeline at this point. I don't feel that it is Madeline. I feel that this is Jen Soto. So Capricorn being on the ascendant, just in terms of this question of was she murdered at this time? Capricorn is the physical body, so Saturn, the ruler of Capricorn is Saturn. It's very close to the Sun again, very close to Mercury in that second house. Saturn is now making a bit of an aspect to Jupiter in the fourth house of the end of the matter. The moon at 27 degrees. This is the thing that clinched it for me. The moon at 27 degrees. So she said, go up into Madeline's room and go to sleep, or whatever disgusting thing she did. That, to me, I can see by this opposition here. Oops. To Neptune. So Neptune's at 26. The moon is at 27. It's a tight aspect, a tight opposition. So to me, that is her, Jen Soto, knowing, everything keeps popping up on my screen, knowing that she'd sent him into the bed. Neptune is bed and sleep and etc. It's too coincidental that it's 27 degrees and 26 degrees. If they were miles apart, I wouldn't think that. But they're not miles apart. They're exactly opposite each other. And Neptune's in the third house. So I actually feel as though there was some sort of communication around this point in time. So I don't believe that Jen Soto was asleep. I don't. I think that there was discussions on what happened. And the amount of Neptune and Pisces and everything that I'm seeing, and all these planets in Pisces, it wouldn't actually surprise me if Madeline was possibly drugged, or she was put to sleep. So he could have his way. This is such a difficult one. I'm usually really, it comes very clearly, but I feel I'm so angry that somebody can do this to a young girl, such a beautiful girl. She's just gone through so much, and I cannot get rid of the idea in my head that both of them were involved. And for a mother to do that is just absolutely abhorrent. The stepfather, as awful and as sad as it is, you see it quite often. It should never happen, but you see it quite often. To see that there's a mother and a stepfather involved in this, and then watching her in the interview and everything, she's so nonchalant. If my daughter had been murdered and I knew that she was murdered by my partner, he would be a dead man. I'd be absolutely beside myself. I don't know if I could live, to be honest. She's got some smirks on her face. She's just relaxed. She doesn't give a flying shit. I think she has a whole lot more to answer to than anyone even possibly knows. I think she knows that he was assaulting her. I think it was a sick way of her like allowing him to assault her so he wouldn't leave with her. So she's, I don't know, she's mentally ill. He's a psychopath, he's a sicko. She's mentally ill. You know, if she ends up going to trial, she might even get off, you know, she might get the insanity plea because she's really, it's beyond, absolutely beyond. But, so yeah, this is, yeah, 3, well, where are we looking at? Yes, when I thought, and when Smudge was barking as well. So to me, even though this chart isn't, you know, there's nothing really conjunct the 4th house or the end of the matter, there's nothing in the 7th house, but the fact that Cancer keeps popping up there, Capricorn keeps popping up there, now we have these planets here that were really important at the beginning in the 1st house again. So, and we also have the moon making an aspect, a trine to these planets too. A wide trine, albeit. But, so she's in the forefront of what's going on. Madeline, I mean, in the forefront of what's going on at this point in time. I truly, truly believe that they both did this. I'll take it back. I really will. I'll take it back and I'll apologise if I'm wrong. I really don't believe that I'm wrong. Okay, so that was really taxing. As you all know, I haven't done a chart properly for a long time. When you do 10 charts or 8 to 10 charts, it can become really confusing. It's hard because, you know, we always want to look to the ascendant and the descendant for the victim and the perpetrator, but you have to take into account the question at hand as well. So you've got to be really changeable and malleable with your charts when you're looking at so many of them. You can't always use those 2 rulers of the ascendant and the descendant. You know, if we're looking at monster stepdad driving in a vehicle, then obviously Madeline is a part of that and in the vehicle, but he is the one that's doing the action, and the action comes from the ascendant. One can say that it comes from the descendant as well because he's doing a bad thing. But generally you see things, and you would have noticed in the charts that they swap around. But the amount of Cancer and the moon and 29 degrees and everything that I saw in those charts, I can't let it go. I cannot for the life of me believe that Jen Soto did not know that this was going on. It makes me so angry how a mother could do that, you know. And when you look at her in her interviews, she doesn't care. She's just sitting back, having a laugh, you know. Oh, this happened and that. Oh, I sent her up to bed with him. What? Why in the hell would you do that? I mean, she should be done just for that in itself, considering he's an absolute sicko. So yeah, I think, you know, in the next few days, few weeks, we're going to see more and more and more. She'll be charged. I'm absolutely sure of it, that she'll be charged with something. Whether or not it's the murder of Madeline, I'm not sure. But I think she'll be charged as an accessory, or maybe giving him the keys to the car, maybe being in the car on the 27th. I think we'll find that perhaps she was moved, or they wanted to move her. They're extremely dumb criminals, murderers, sickos, because CCTV and cameras and everything, it's so hard to get away with anything, what, I don't know what he was thinking. He's tapped. But yeah, I don't know. This one makes me feel really horrible. I feel really gross in the stomach. I've actually I feel tight around here as well. That happens sometimes. I'm sure some of you may feel the same thing. I can feel strangulation, but I can also feel a hit over the head or punches or something like that. That Mars is poor Madeline Soto. She endured so much. It's just absolutely horrific. And I'm glad that she's in a better place and not with those awful, awful people. If Jen Soto wasn't involved in it, she still was. She let this happen. She sent her daughter, her boyfriend, up to bed with her daughter. Like, who the hell does that? So no matter what, she's not innocent. She's not innocent at all. And I'm going to keep on watching what's going on. Obviously I'm not covering everything. I know that there's a whole lot more that happened, and there's intricacies that I can't cover, mainly because there's so many charts. But that's my opinion. And a couple of years ago, I would have really stayed away from blaming anybody. I would have blamed him because he's been caught and we know that he's done it. But I don't feel like I want to hold back anymore. I think that she needs to answer to what she's done. And I think she will answer to what she's done. She's going to be surprised. She thinks that she's getting away with it. There's no way she's getting away with it. Any part of her role in this, she's not getting away with it. So, she's going to end up in jail, no doubt. He 100% will end up in jail. I hope he gets the death penalty. I think Florida, pretty sure that that's on the cards. He should. He should get it. He's a sicko. If he ever got out of prison, what's he going to do to other people? But the dynamics of the triangular dynamics of the three of them, Madeline wasn't involved in this, but Jen Soto, to me, she's worse. No, she's not worse. She's just as bad. The statement that I heard of, that she was scared that he was going to fall in love with her 13-year-old daughter and leave her. Like, okay, lady, what? So then why would you put them in bed together? I think everything she's saying is a lie. And I think that looking at those charts and seeing all that Cancer on the 7th house and the moon at 29 degrees and all the other 29 degrees and everything pivotal, yeah, she either knew what she wanted to happen, she possibly wanted Madeline out the way so she could have him all to herself. Yuck. Why? And also she's got crazy eyes as well. That's another indication to me. Absolute crazy eyes. Oh, there goes a plane. When I lived in Queensland, it was just crickets and bugs and beautiful things, and now I live in bloody suburbia and it's just planes, trains and automobiles. Okay, I'm going to leave it there because this video is probably so long and you're probably just like But I'm going to come back tomorrow, or actually I'll probably do it on the live. I think I'll do a live map, and we'll see, we'll get the most specific charts and the most repetitive degrees that we're seeing, and we'll do a map and see if it goes to the place where Madeline was found. So thank you for watching. Thank you for bearing with all of that. I know if you just wanted to hear about the case, then obviously you got a whole something very different, and you need to know astrology to understand what I'm talking about. But you know, after doing this for so many years, it's become something that's within me. I know just by looking at charts, it's like I can step into it, and a lot of people might find that actually doing more and more forensic astrology, that the more you look at it, the more you can step into it, and things just come to you. It's just a tool, you know. You have, like I said, you have to be malleable. You have to look at different rulers, and you have to consider the question. But I do thank you for putting up with this for so long. Bunches of charts, but please, you know, go back on all of them. Write to me, tell me if you think I'm wrong, if I've missed something. But there's one thing that I do want to say. The moon and DNA, which is 55555 on astro.com, being together like that throughout the entire thing, it's pretty telling. It's pretty telling. Keep an eye out on Court TV, Gisela, who has so much information. I know I said that last night, but I'm in awe of Gisela. Keep an eye on it, see everything that happens. You know, she goes into absolutely everything. Unfortunately, I can't, because my videos will be like 4 hours long. It takes too long to go through these charts. You know, like usually I wouldn't do 8-10 charts, but because we've got so many time frames, I had to see what was going on. So anyway, I'll leave it there. I'll show you my new cup, little ghost. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in America's Saturday morning, England's Saturday afternoon, Australia Saturday night, and I can't think of any other time zones or places or people that watch. So I look forward to seeing you again. Thank you so much again for all of your messages, and please comment, tell me, you know, Kirsty, you're off, you're way off, you've made a mistake or whatever. I'm open to that. And if anyone wants to look at anything in particular, you know, maybe pop a video up, contact me if you like. We can do something together. There's so many forensic astrologers out there now, or training forensic astrologers out there now. I would love to have a chat with everybody, or with somebody about that. If anyone wants to talk about the work that I do, I'm here to do that. So I will see you on the live on Australian Western Standard Time Saturday night, probably around midnight, maybe a little bit before. And until then, take care. And thank you so much for watching. Okay, bye. Bye-bye.